Well, hello, Providence. I am coming to you live from the Matt Cave with another video chat interview. What we're trying to do is pull together our folks, our church plant folks from all over the world and right down the road to just kind of see what they're doing and how things are working for them. And so today I have Tony Walls and Chris Hodge from Providence Jeff City. And so we're so excited to have them. So I want to ask these guys, won't you update me? Tony, how are things going over there in Jeff City?
Well, up until a couple weeks ago, things were going great. And then the world stopped. But up here in Jeff City, things are going well. I'm talking to you right now from an office in a building, which is huge for us. We've been here for just a little over a year right now. And really, up until everything stopped, we were what I would say kind of hitting our stride and really connecting with some folks in the community, seeing a lot of new faces that we hadn't seen before, a lot of folks that have been here for a long time, really encouraged and celebrating a lot of things that were going on. I'll let Chris tell you a little bit about student ministry. Student ministry was doing well. Really having a building was something of a game changer for us in order to allow us to start expanding what we do ministry wise, adding some things that we've not done in the past. We'd built a great foundation of community and a great foundation of what we call front porch community, where you really just get to know folks and really are a part of each other's lives. And now we've been able to take that transition into or take that community into new ministry avenues. And now we're stuck for a little bit, but that's what we've been doing, and it's been great.
Chris, tell me a little bit about student ministry. What's going on with that, and just the other areas you lead?
My role at the church is basically to, be in charge of student ministry and lead a team of volunteers to minister to our kids, and also a lot of the music on Sunday mornings and things. But like Tony said, we were just kind of finding a new normal, and ironically, then now everyone is. So, yeah, we were hitting. It was an exciting time, and not to say that it still isn't, because we're all trying to wrap our minds around the opportunities that we have now in a different digital world that we live in. But it's been kind of strange to readjust, because for the past year or so we've all been learning sort of how to be sort of settled and try to improve in different ways, and so when a few weeks ago, when all of a sudden when the live streaming thing was just absolute necessity, we looked around and we were like, oh no, something we've been planning to do forever all of a sudden was kind of mandated on us. And so there was a scramble, so. But if you work in a church for any amount of time, you get used to those kind of scramble modes that you have to get into every now and then. So it was fun, and the students have responded just like the whole church has. We've tried to take a lot of our content online and just try to stay connected. Because I'm sure by day 3, kids were going crazy, parents were probably pulling their hair out, and so we're just trying to kind of buffer that transition for however long we need to.
It is definitely strange. I mean, I'm not understanding live stream. I'm not real comfortable with the whole process of it, or really know much about it. But when you're a relational church, which you guys have the same kind of relational DNA we have, it really limits what you can do. And so I know I can already tell the way you guys are talking about it, how you're trying to keep the connection going with your folks. Any specifics, Tony, you guys are doing to just kind of make sure everybody's connected, feels like they're connected?
Well, the thing is, we're trying to encourage as much as we can people to hop on Zoom or Google Hangouts or whatever to make sure that they're seeing each other. We just had a baby shower via Zoom this weekend for one of the ladies here, and so we're trying to encourage that whenever you can. And the having a church that is truly built on community, which we have worked really, really hard to do. And fortunately, I really think that we do. That's a double-edged sword. So it hurts whenever you can't have community. It stinks. It's no good. But when you have that foundation, you feel confident that the people love each other. They're checking on each other. They do anything for each other. And this is just a temporary pause on seeing one another and being together, but it doesn't stop community. But if you've got a church that's built on a show, that's built on a charismatic teacher, a church that's built on whatever just happens on Sunday mornings, well, this is just almost a deal breaker, because the community's not there, that those networks aren't there, that love for one another is not there, and it's really easy for those things just to fall apart. But from what I've seen and talking with our people, that's not the case at all here. Everybody is chomping at the bit to be together, and even though they can't, they're texting, they're calling, and they very much are still caring for one another. And so we're trying to emphasize that, push that. We're trying to figure out what to do for Livestream, trying to figure out what we want to do for Easter. We're learning on the fly with all of this stuff. And fortunately, we have some people that are pretty forgiving that are saying, you know what, that's all right. We're learning too. And so that's what we're doing. And the cool thing is, I know, because I've gotten texts from other folks, that people are watching in a lot of other places that never would have gotten any part of our ministry, and are now doing that because of the internet and what we're able to see. And yeah, that's not church proper, but it's still kind of cool that we can connect in that way. So, and we're trying to come up with some other fun things to do as well, ways that we can do ministry. We don't have a huge ministry budget where we can't, start bailing out people for rent or for utility bills or things like that. But we're going to try to do what we can to promote some businesses. So we got a pretty fun local businesses. So we've got a pretty fun thing coming up here. We're going to start in just a couple days, where we're going to be doing a pretty massive daily Easter basket giveaway, where we're giving away gift cards to local businesses. And you've got to find that gift card somewhere in Jefferson County, and we'll put it out there on social media. First one who finds it gets it. And so we're starting that on Wednesday. We think that's going to be a lot of fun, and just trying to give people a bit of a distraction, a reason to get out, but still honor the restrictions we've been given.
That's pretty awesome. So Chris, the students, they're pretty much already tech savvy. I don't know that they're making any kind of adjustments like I've had to make to the Zoom world. And just getting your email addresses right was a huge step in my life, as you well know. I finally got the right words in there. It doesn't have church in it. That's what I've learned. I like to put church in it, but it's providencejeffcity.com, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I got nervous there for a minute. I was thinking, wait, no, it is church. See, I'm doing it again. But Chris, tell me a little bit about students. So how has the transition to community with students online been for this? Any problems? I would say that's probably a very easy transition.
Yeah, in some ways. In other ways, our group specifically, there are a little bit of, what I would call road bumps. We've got a lot more middle schoolers than high schoolers right now. And so a lot of those kids don't have phones. Some of those kids don't have social media. You kind of want to tread lightly when you do things like that, because different families are on different pages as far as encouraging their kids to have those things. And so it is a problem, and one that I haven't really figured out fully yet, how to just make the opportunities for everybody, basically. The sixth graders, they don't need to have a phone probably, and they don't need to be able to, get my Instagram stories and things like that. And so, just navigating that kind of stuff, for a lot of the kids, it's like you said, they're 90% digital already, and would rather text you than talk to you. But, we're trying to fight that and try to find new ways to sort of encourage people to stay together. And but it's hard. And like Tony said, it's not going to be perfect until we can see each other face to face again. And I've been encouraged, not just with the kids, but with the whole church, really, of, this is still new, obviously, 2 or 3 weeks in, but I've seen a healthy sort of angst from kids and families too, of like, yeah, okay, watching church on the couch or in bed is fun, but this isn't how it's supposed to be. And so, we're not trying to completely replicate what we do on Wednesdays, just like on Sundays. We're not trying to make it normal. And that's just what I got to keep reminding myself, until we can be together again, we can't do what we want to do. So it's tough.
Yeah, you guys, one of the things, you obviously are so similar, and Providence Knoxville folks, there's a ton of DNA overlap. I mean, so a lot of the things you guys are saying are the exact same things that we're saying and thinking about in the way we relate. I just love hearing that you guys kind of resonate the same things. It kind of is it's a good confirmation for us that we're still on the right track, because the older your church gets, the easier it is to lose touch with that relational side. And so hearing you guys say that, it's almost a confirmation for us that we're still kind of talking about the right stuff, which is great. But maybe people don't know kind of the history of the connection between Prov Jeff City and Providence Knoxville. So why don't you guys maybe give us the short version, but I know you guys have connections in that, but just maybe throw that a little bit out there, Tony. Tell us a little bit, kind of start this thing. And Chris, you can tell your background on Providence for sure, but love to hear kind of the storyline, so folks from Providence who don't know can find out how we're connected.
Tell you what, Chris, why don't you since you were here before me, why don't you tell a little bit about Lake Point, kind of how that happened, and then I'll pick up where I come into the story.
Sure. Well, stop me if I go too long, because it's kind of a story. But yeah, so I'm local from the Jefferson County area, and went to Carson Newman College back then, now university. And when I was a student there, gosh, several years ago now, there was a church plant that was pretty new and pretty vibrant and growing, and best deal in town, pretty much, called Lake Point. And they did some really good things. And so when I had graduated, I was in the military at the time. It's kind of in and out home, but when I was home, that's where I would go, and formed a great community there. And so I suppose it was around 2009, 2010, where the church began to decline in a lot of ways. The two guys that started the church they left one after another for different reasons. And so it was, I guess, about 2010 where the core group of families, several of whom are still here in Providence now, kind of just circled the wagons and said, do we want to find another church, or what do we do, really? And so, basically the few leaders we had left kind of went to several churches that had supported the church in Jefferson City. And one of the first ones was, of course, Providence in Knoxville, because of, at that time, almost all the staff were Carson Newman alumni, and Chad, notwithstanding his connection here to town. And so they were obviously very interested in seeing that a solid, relational Bible believing church was near to campus and in Jefferson City. And so they devised a scheme sort of to relaunch a new church and begin something new. And that's kind of where Tony comes in.
Yeah. So Providence decided that the other church would go away, and then we would come on as a campus of Providence Knoxville. That was in 2011. I grew up in Knoxville, knew Chad, tried to have lunch with Chad I was on staff at another church in Knoxville. We tried to have lunch with Chad every I don't know, a couple times a year. Went to what was, I thought, a normal lunch with Chad and a Taste of Thai. Ended up being about a 4-hour lunch with him and Greg Greer, and walked out and called my wife and said, I think I could be the pastor in Jefferson City if I want to be. And my wife said, what's in Jefferson City? And I said, I don't think anything. And then she said, is there a Target? And I said, I'm almost certain there's not a Target. I think there's a Walmart, and we should be okay with that. Long story short, we ended up coming up here, and I was the campus pastor. Did a campus for what ended up being 4 or 5 years. I can't remember. We didn't know how long that was going to take, but from the beginning, the campus was meant to be a church plant. It was never meant to be a campus long term. And so after about 4 or 5 years, we were able to get our budget straightened out. We were able to get elders called, and from there we became autonomous, broke away from Providence, Knoxville, became our own church here in Jeff City, and been meeting in the community center for 8 years or so. And then just last year moved into a building, and have really established things here right in the heart of town.
Yeah, I love it. It's been great to see. I was so blessed to get to come up there here recently and see you guys. And man, it's just, I don't know. I came back to give a report to the staff, and I was just talking about how you guys didn't feel like a church plant. You felt like a church. And they said, well, what do you mean by that? The building? I said, I don't know if it's the building. I think people understood what their situation was and what their responsibilities were. And that became I don't know, my thing fell apart here. I don't know what I got going. Leave me alone. There. All of a sudden, my email just shows up. I hope it's not on the recording. Sorry, Providence, if you saw my email. Some of that's personal. But just the feel, man, you guys have a great feel. You have a great culture. It's just it's a great thing, man. So we're really grateful to have a partner church and to see the exciting things you guys are doing. So, we really appreciate that and enjoy that. Let me just close this up. I don't want to keep you here all day. You got a lot of gumballs to eat back there, Tony. Tell me a little bit. What are you telling your folks? What are you sharing with them about? I guess just the context we're in, the chapter we're in. What are you telling folks? I mean, how do you face them? I feel like we are in. I mean, there is an absolute concern. I mean, I know this is a serious thing, but there has been this also framework of panic that I think God can use in a great way. But I'd love to hear what you're kind of sharing with people in the midst of that.
It's kind of funny. I saw a post yesterday. Somebody said that I feel like I'm constantly in between this kind of seesaw back and forth between I'm either completely overreacting or I'm completely underreacting. And there's no happy middle in there. And that's kind of what I feel like, is that I can't figure out where I'm supposed to be. And I think part of that's because we're in East Tennessee. And right now in East Tennessee, this thing's not that personal for us. It's something that's happening elsewhere. We're impacted by it because we see, church members and friends losing jobs or losing money because jobs aren't happening, and because we're stuck at home and dealing with the repercussions there. But we're not seeing our friends taken off in an ambulance to go to a hospital. We're not, as pastors, we're not trying to figure out how to conduct a funeral with somebody that was one of our church members. I know plenty of pastors that are doing that. One of the churches we were supposed to go to for a mission trip in October is in Queens. And a guy who was a student here at Carson Newman is now helping plant that church in Queens, sending out a request asking for prayer because his wife is working in a pharmacy there at one of the hospitals in Brooklyn, kind of right on the front lines of it. And they see it very much. And so their context is very different than ours. And so last couple of weeks, I've tried to, we stopped the series we were in. We were walking through 1 John and just tried to address kind of the moment where we're at. Started a new series this past week called Curveball. what happens when life doesn't go exactly how you expected. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about what do you do when life doesn't work like it's supposed to. Whenever God throws a curveball, whether it be by circumstances, by calling, who knows? And just trying to see not so much what wisdom do I have to offer here, but what does the Bible have to tell us about other people who have walked through this? What did they do when life didn't go how they had planned? That's the best thing I know to do. Whenever I'm not sure what to tell people, and even whenever I feel like I am sure what to tell people, my gut, my response, my instinct is, well, what does the Bible have to tell people? Because what I have to say is pretty much irrelevant if I'm not getting it from there anyway. So I'm just going to go to the scriptures, let the scriptures lead us. And as much as I would love to have more planned and more that I could say, I know this is what to do, and I know this is exactly how to respond, I don't. And I think anybody else that says that they do is probably pulling your leg. I don't know what to say exactly. So every week I'm just praying and fully dependent upon the Holy Spirit to help me as I try to lead these people, try to lead my own family, and frankly try to make sense out of any of it myself.
Well, guys, listen, I am really, really thankful that you cut out some time here to do a little mat chat with me. It's good to kind of get some information out to our folks about all the different ways that we're connected, and watching you all plant churches and be passionate about missions and to do relational discipleship the way you're doing it. It's a really encouraging thing for Providence, Knoxville. And so we're really, really grateful for that, man. Providence, be praying for Providence Jeff City. Want you to be praying for these guys. Pray for Tony, pray for Chris as they continue to minister. They mean a lot to us. They teach us. They're part of the family of church plants, and we can't wait to see what we're going to do in the future. So there'll be more of those kind of connections together. But if you made it to the end of this video, we're really grateful, because it means a lot to us. We're just glad that you could tolerate these three faces for 20 minutes. I don't know, whatever we had. But guys, hey, I'm going to let you go, but I really appreciate you all talking to us. So thanks, guys, and God bless. Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.